I was here long enough that I actually got hit in grade 1 by a teacher when I was trying to explain to a fellow student that my name was actually Jose, not Jose. And she's like, "What's going on over here?" And I was like, I was just explaining that in Spanish it's pronounced Jose. And I was like fucking 4 or 5. And she hit me and said, "Your name's Jose. You setting the BPM over there? What's going on?" Ow! Huh. Mimico, co. Oh. Down by the water on 8th. Yeah. Mike D. Ow! I totally had my biscuits this morning.
Welcome to episode 1117 of Toronto Mic'd.
Oh.
Proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. StickerU.com. Create custom stickers, labels, tattoos, and decals for your home and your business. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Electronic Products Recycling Association. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. Ridley Funeral Home. Pillars of the community since 1921. And Canna Cabana, the lowest prices on cannabis. Guaranteed. Over 100 stores across the country. Learn more at cannacabana.com. Today, making his Toronto Mic debut from By Divine Right, José Miguel Contreras.
Hey, ¿qué tal, Mike? Un gusto de estar aquí contigo.
Welcome, my friend.
Yeah, thanks.
No, honestly, out of a rocket. I love it. I'm already digging the vibe here, but welcome. It's an honor to have you on the program.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate you reaching out and inviting us.
Gonna read a few comments and then we're gonna get into it. I got lots of great audio. I see you brought a guitar, which is amazing.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a deal or not.
Well, it's up to you. I will, no pressure, but Chris Brown, Stephen Stanley, and Ron Hawkins were playing live down here last week.
Oh, I fucking love those guys.
Okay, who do you love the most of those three guys?
Well, it's a tough call. The truth is that Chris Brown is like kind of like my Obi-Wan.
Oh.
You know, like he's one of my he's like my
mentor,
spiritual older brother, and if all I could do is just make him feel like I'm not wasting space on the planet, I'd feel great about it. I don't know Steven that well, and Ron is just like an inspiration, and I love that guy. We used to be neighbors, and I'm really grateful that we had a chance to meet and re-meet over the years. And, I think I could say that we love each other. He is fucking awesome, right? Am I allowed to swear on?
You could swear, yeah. And when I think of these three bands, right, if I think about Bourbon Tabernacle Choir, and I think about Lowest of the Low, and I think about By Divine Right, these are three core Toronto bands, like big part of this city's musical history.
I guess so. I mean, I feel like those guys are like my seniors in a million different ways. I mean,
Sure.
Obviously, like the Bourbons were rocking probably, our bands started around the same time, but they were very successful but even in the late 80s. And Lowest of the Low released a landmark Canadian record like in the early 90s.
Shakespeare My Butt.
Pardon me? What about your butt? I can do that to your butt.
What do you think of that as a name of an album? Like Shakespeare My Butt.
I think it's cool. I think it's in keeping with the sort of like depth and surface of that time. That record wasn't for me. But I realize that it's a fucking classic. And
every single episode of Toronto Mic'd ends with a song from that very album.
Cool.
Which you'll hear in about an hour or so. But a couple of quick notes. Elephants and Stars, great band actually. The comment I got from Manfred there was, By Divine Right were great. He says "were" past tense, but we're gonna play you. There's new stuff coming out. You're currently great, I think, but he says they were great. I can't remember the song they had on the Pop Can compilation, but it was awesome. What's Manfred talking about?
So who's Elephants
and Stars is the band name.
Yeah.
And the main guy from Elephants and Stars is named Manfred.
Oh, Manfred. That's a cool name. Um, you know, it's funny that if you'd asked me that 100 times, 99, I would not know what the fuck you're talking about. But I had a really great night and a really great morning, and so my brain's really functioning.
Okay, good.
And so Popcan, it would have been a song called Fearless, I'm pretty sure, and it was in 1997 or 98. And I get it. There's so much music going on, and I'm definitely not out there like, like waving my dick in front of everybody. So it's just not my style. And
Well, that'll get you arrested.
um, I guess so. Arrested? Not really. Not these days. They're too busy.
They're too busy.
And they're too busy checking their phones. But so I think that's cool. You know what? I have a lot of people. I don't think most people know who my band is, and that's cool too because I'm an art historian. I know how it goes.
I think anyone with their ear to the ground in terms of Toronto music, absolutely fluent in By Divine Right.
That was a really long time ago too, like 97. Jesus. You know what's really wild? You mentioned like the Bourbons and Los of the Low. Who and I appreciate you putting me, even daring to place me in that place, because those guys are huge 90s godparents, right? Whereas like even though we might get placed as a 90s band, By Divine Right, we're not successful in the 90s. You know what I mean? We did not peak in the 90s. I never had a big shiny tunes. The closest I had to any sort of success would have been in 99. And like as far as like commercial peak, like sort of like where we could play shows and it was a zoo, would have been like in the early 2000s, maybe like it peaked in 2005 to, then I had kids and renovated a house and all of a sudden had like, rock, sort of 70s style rock and roll debt. And right around the same time as when people started asking me to produce their records. So then I kind of spent 5 years making money, paying off debts and changing diapers. And
right.
And
you had other priorities.
And then, then the coolest records I made, I'd say would be like 2009, or 2010, 2013. And we peaked pretty hard like in 2014, but well aware that even people that love me, quote unquote, and like I'm like a huge influence, had no fucking clue what I was up to. And it's kind of awesome. Like, I don't know if you've ever sort of like been in that position where you're aware that people know you, but they don't actually know you. They'll be like, "Oh man, I love your band. Yeah, I saw you in '98," and it's pretty cool, actually, place to be because, for over the hill many times, many hills, it's pretty cool to show up and play music in a sort of like pretty connected way. BDR is not an oldies show because no one gives a fuck. And there's a generation too of people that know me from 2013 forward. And for them, it's like, we're not chords and vocals. Our songs aren't chords and words, and it's not kind of cynical and it's not just Thin Lizzy isms. It's like fucking, it's art, you know what I mean? And so it's that failure from say Manfred's lack of knowledge is amazing because then I just can always be judged for where I'm at, and it's a becoming. By Divine Right's a becoming. Also, like, I'm not sure if you're aware of my solo work. I'm just going to take over the interview, by the way. Just sit back. I'll talk. I don't know if you're aware of my solo work either, because most people are not, and it's really great to have that because it's a blessing. It was not my idea to do solo work, and the cool thing about it is that it's deep, it's I'm not
well, I don't understand like because when I think of By Divine Right, and we'll talk about like the origin and where By Divine Right is at after I get to a couple more FOTM questions. As friends of Toronto Mike have asked some important questions, much like Manfred there, but like you are, for all intents and purposes, you are By Divine Right. So like, yeah, sure. What's the point of a solo album?
It's a really good question, right? It's a fucking funny question. There's a man who used to run Squirt Gun Records, Lee Maslin, who is beautiful, one of the biggest musical minds I know on so many levels. He can play a guitar and play drums and sing like a fucking angel, but he's also just like knows so much about music. Like it's insane. He'll be like, yeah, I love Sepultura. This is my favorite Iron Maiden reissue. Have you heard that here's the Kate Bush triple album, whatever, 100 Names for Snow. And then when I mentioned that my console used to belong to Toronto, he was like, and that it was used to record their hit song.
Don't daddy don't. What's it called? Daddy.
Your mama don't know. Your daddy don't know.
Right,
yeah, he was like, oh, which album? Oh, 1992, so and so recorded here and here, produced by them, mixed by so and so, and he like enlists like, what's the first song on side 2, and he knows that the bass player from Max Webster owned the board too. It's just insane knowledge.
Amazing.
Anyway, so he was like came up one day and was like, you should do a solo record, an acoustic solo record, and I was like, that sounds like fucking the end of my career. Like, I'll do that and it will all be fucking over. But he is, in the true spirit of great A&R, had a great idea for me. And so the solo record being, I realized, oh yeah, you know what? I've been bummed out, late night drinking, getting high in my studio for a couple of years, playing very quietly. And I suddenly realized, I'm actually have a repertoire for a solo record that's not like acoustic hits. Like, I don't show up and play $5 acoustic or whatever.
Right.
And so the BDR is a rock band, an art project.
Right.
And then my solo records are more like, sorry, you started whispering, so I'm going to whisper it too. This is the intimate part. I'm right in there.
You got to draw in the listener, and then you get them. But okay,
I'm a nibbler.
when you're, is it literally? Are we talking boozing and weed, or anything harder than that?
No, I never got too crazy.
Okay,
thank
no
God.
John Frusciante activity.
No, and I can blame just the amount of love my mom gave me over the years. You can imagine I've been offered everything and just about the most enticing package you can imagine, but like I'd always look at it and be like, man, if I did this to my mom, I'd just be like, Mom, thanks for all the support over the years. Here's how I'm paying it back. Instead, and I'm a family man, So, and
how many kids you got?
I got 2.
Okay, good for you. How old are these children?
They're beautiful years old. They're 11 and 16.
Okay, good ages. Well, they're all good ages. I always say that, the good ages. I'm like, when, that's a shitty age.
That's a fun age. Well, I don't know. I mean, like last year at one point, my son definitely thought I was a fucking idiot. Everything I said. And then he's a musician. He's a wonderful kid.
Okay.
And but he also got into the BDR. He did like some mega deep diving.
Okay.
So he'd like basically tell me off. And then I'd hear in his room, he'd listen to tunes, and like some of my tunes would come on. And I'd be like, what the fuck, man? You just told me to fuck off. Not really, but you know what I mean? And now you listen to my tunes. He'd be like, well, you're not 100% lame. So anyway, it's like,
but he came out of that phase.
Yeah, no, he really did, and he's such a sweet dude, and my daughter's amazing too, and but yeah, like I forget
that guy Lee. So Lee
Maslin,
yeah.
Squirt Gun Records.
You say Lee Maslin. I think about. Do you remember Lee Mazzilli? Does that name mean anything to you?
No, sounds like the sort of like the shizzle dizzle name of Lee Maslin.
Lee Mazzilli was a Major League Baseball player who came over. I think he came over in the Mookie Wilson trade in 1989. This is off the top of my head, but as I've learned recently, my memory is very faulty. So I say these things like that's how I remember it, and then I find out I'm way off. But
Mookie is a great name. Better Mookie Mazzilli is my new.
Yeah, Mookie Mazzilli.
That's my new.
If you need a new band,
that's my
name,
new stage name.
I love it. Cam Gordon, who, by the way, went to Thornlea, which we'll get to in a minute. He wants to know, have you ever been mistaken for Major League, the Cuban player, José Contreras?
José Contreras? Well, I mean, not physically, but yes, I have had a lot of people going like, oh, the famous baseball player, which is pretty amazing. And you know what's funny,
you look
too?
like you could have played ball back in the day.
I can still play mean balls. But anyways, I'm Latino. Not, I mean, baseball, I guess I was all right. More of a soccer player, but,
yeah, so you have been mistaken. Okay, it's funny because we
a little bit. It's also interesting how culture comes and goes, because less so in the last 5 years.
That would make sense, yeah, because he's long retired now. But funny thing is, we mentioned Ron Hawkins off the top, and the first time he came over, he told me he was booking into some hotel, and they thought he was romping Ronnie Hawkins.
Yeah, he's like, you mean Ron Hawkins, the musician? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're like, fuck yeah. You mean like the guy who put out that record everyone loves? Yeah.
And then I asked him, what does he feel now that Ronnie Hawkins has passed away? And he told me, I have zero feelings. Like, he just was completely void of any feelings either way.
I think Ronnie Hawkins, Stompin' Ronnie Hawkins, is a really interesting personality.
Rompin', because Stompin' is Tom Connors, right? You got to keep these.
Sorry. Well, no one can touch fucking Tom Connors. Stompin' Tommy Tom.
Stompin' Tom Connors, absolutely. Margot's got the cargo.
And, and Bud's got the spuds.
Bud's got the spud, and Sudbury said, oh man, yeah. Anyway.
I've covered a couple of his songs. The BDR did a mean version of Man Moon Newfie. We're killing it.
Love it.
Seriously. But yeah, no, I think romping
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie Hawkins is an interesting character, but he's not particularly inspiring to me, you know. And whereas I think Ron Hawkins is a fucking angel in the world. He really is. I don't know if you've ever actually been around him when he works, when he does his work, but he is actually a man of serious values and morals and ideals, and like fucking lives what he says, and he fucking is. I like him a lot. I aspire to be his.
When you grow up, you want to be Ron Hawkins.
I don't know about that, but if I deserve his friendship, I must be okay. And we do love each other.
Well, I'm honored that
Hi, Ron.
you both visit my basement, which is an honor to me. But Not That Thor wants to know, why were the chicken wings at the Tap on Bloor the best in the city?
Ha ha ha. You know what? It must have been the drinking. It must have been the age, your age, and the time in life. I used to be the cook there.
Okay.
You remember that the Tap had 2 doors down, had Las Iguanas? This is like ancient fucking history.
No, I love this stuff. Bury me in it.
And that was one of my last real jobs. I was the cook at Las Iguanas, and then that kitchen served the Tap. And I can tell you some grim stories. I mean, the business is closed, so it's fine. Like one time, I was kind of vegan at the time, which was really great considering how much meat I slogged. But I did learn how to cook there from a wonderful, great man named Frank.
Okay.
And anyway, so one time I was doing the chicken wings, and I used to, like reach into the freezer and just go like a dozen chicken wings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like this, right? Like, you reach down, you don't look at them, right? And then you drop them in the thing, and then I'm tossing them, right? And I'm tossing them, and I'm putting them in the basket, and I pull out a fucking golden chicken head. And it looked like fucking voodoo to me. I was holding it in the tongs, and like voodoo, like fully like deep fried chicken head. I called the waitress over, and she's like, ah, freaks out, like one of the servers. And then like I'm like freaking out, so I call management. And I'm like, dude, there's some fucking satanic voodoo bullshit coming from our meat suppliers. And Frank was like, listen, there's no way we can complain about this because we buy the cheapest wings we can find.
Oh.
So
you're going to make me a vegan with this chatter.
There's
here.
no reason.
Smokes.
Animal cruelty. I mean, anything that's.
But do you eat meat now?
I would say yes, but like I'm selective.
But I have, it just so happens I have a large frozen vegetarian lasagna in my freezer from Palma Pasta. Would you like to take that home with you?
Hell yeah.
Okay, you're taking it home. It'll feed the 2 kids. It'll feed everybody.
You need an applause button right now. Right? Yeah. I'd love to, Mike. Fucking rights.
All right, well, just because we were talking about, but okay, so the chicken wings.
So
here's the thing. Can I ask you? So
I learned how to make hot sauce. You need the breakdown. Maybe it's that. Hot is Frank's, medium is half margarine, half Frank's. Wow. Mild is 1/3 Frank's, wow. 2/3.
You're spilling all the tea here. Okay. Let me. So, were you working at the Tap on Bloor at the same time as you were in by Divine Right?
Hell yeah.
Okay, can I ask you this? So I got a call from somebody. I will not out this person.
I know who they are.
A famous FOTM, a guest of Toronto Mike, friend of Toronto Mike, called me, and he doesn't want me to disclose this. I won't say this person's name. But this person now does delivery for DoorDash, okay? Oh, yeah. And this person was embarrassed. And I said to this person last night, I said, there's no shame in that game. Like, if you got to go work at Tim Hortons or McDonald's or Tap on Bloor, there's no shame in that game. I said, this is the Canadian star system. I remember when I learned that the cook at this place on Bloor Street was Ken McNeil from Rusty.
Yeah.
Okay? I was spinning Fluke. I loved Fluke, the album by Rusty, and I played it all the time. By the way, he's been here too, and it was
huge
good.
record.
Huge record. Big fucking radio hits that I would hear all the time on whatever.
Did you wipe these mics down? Did you wipe this mic down, Mike?
Always, yeah.
Are you protecting me?
Basically, there is zero shame. I just talked to the guy from Monster Truck, and he was working at the steel plant. And
shame is just like poverty is shame, and poverty isn't monetary. Poverty is like like if you have bad salad dressings and you make poor decisions in your. And then what you ingest put in your mind, or if you can't put your phone down to talk to people. But I worked there in '96. It was one of my favorite jobs. I learned how to cook there, seriously, because cooking's all timing, right? And I was a prep cook, and then you know what? My last day I worked there, I didn't know it was my last day because we got asked to be on the cover of whatever magazine it was at the time.
What was it, like Now magazine? What were you on the cover?
Maybe I. There was a few years where I was basically on the cover of every magazine in Canada. It was
all the
embarrassing.
weeklies.
It was just like, it kind of definitely revealed itself to just be like a insert here. I got put down the tube. That was my turn. And so then my bandmate came in and took a picture of me. And I was holding 2 enormous bricks of cheese, like, because I was about to shred the cheese for like the 3 cheese blend. Sure. Like huge, like,
yeah, the big
like
industrial
size cheese, whatever it was. And then later that day, I was like, I can't work on this day because I have to go do a photo shoot for this thing. And then they couldn't find anyone to cover my shift, so I had to actually kind of quit. And that was the end.
Oh man.
No shame in working there. I loved it.
No, and I want to like end this whole stigma that like I'm a rock star, I can't work. Most rock stars that come through here are working other jobs.
I'm not a rock star. Rock star's dumb. I mean, I always prefer the term failed artist to rock star.
But why failed? If commercial success is not the indication of
no, that was back in the day.
Success.
Now I refer to myself as a singer.
Gotcha. Okay, this is almost like the preamble because one quick note from PT Mike says he saw you open for 5440 at the
dude. I mean, did
Buffalo.
you talk to anyone from this century?
Hold on here. We're gonna go back even further because Cam Gordon, I said, went to Thornlea, and he and all of us are just curious. Do you have any stories about any of these people? Hayden, Noah Mintz, Gian Gomeshi. What do you remember about this art scene,
I could
this
talk
music
about
scene
like
at Thornlea?
60. I could talk like, what are you trying to do, like season 3 of Thornlea? Jose talks about Thornlea. Who do you want to hear about most?
Let's start with, why don't we start with Noah Mintz? How well did you know him?
First time, man, I went to high school with these people. First time I saw Noah Mintz, he was dressed as Howard Jones at a bus stop. And we taught at the corner of Bayview and John Street, and he looked amazing, right? He looked exact like he had the great hair and great outfit, whereas I was more fashion victim, so I would have been like chubby. I would have tapered my pants myself, and like had like a little mustache, and my hair was up. We talked about starting a new wave band, and then we didn't talk for years because he was really cool and I wasn't. And then over the years, like he was like he was a rock star in high school. In a band with Hayden and Gavin Brown and the guys from Polito called Entangled, who played on TV and stuff, and they were hilarious.
Well, okay, so the Hayden song "Take," which was on the one of CFNY's new music search.
I don't know that one.
So the year that I think Head won, which is
right. Okay, so I probably do know that. So because we used to play shows together all the time.
Take a part of me. Anyway, but the mind blow to me was I always thought,
are you going to do the voice there?
Take all of me, but it wasn't Hayden singing on the jam because Hayden was too shy. It was Noah.
Take a part of me. That's you should do.
Bit of Eddie Vedder in there.
Yeah,
right?
a little. Hey, yes, no. Take a part of me. Hey, I mean, we're talking about my friends and people I love and
great musicians.
I think they're really talented and they certainly got better as they got more original.
Okay, let's talk about the
Jungle Meshi.
Yeah, because I'll just preface this to say when Noah was on the show,
if you should get Jungle Meshi toilet paper and I could like do a little freshening up.
Okay, well, maybe later when you're bored, you listen to Noah Mintz on Toronto Mike and hear how he went off on Gomeshi. But what say you about the Gian Gomeshi that went to Thornlea Secondary School?
He was
Thornhill?
He was always kind of smarmy and he was like he had like the perfect new wave outfit. I would say there's 2 people at Thornlea that had the perfect new wave outfits. And I'm sorry, Mike, but you're not the first podcast I've mentioned this on.
Oh.
They both had the perfect new wave outfit. Jean and Sean Dean from the Sadies, which would have been like the sort of like tweed, puffy pleated pants that go down to like the Peter Pan getaway boots, the perfect sort of like leather pointies. Are you surfing the internet? What the fuck?
Oh,
anyways,
peeking at the live stream.
And then I'm just teasing you. And then just in case we're getting cut off,
to make sure the camera's on you.
And then, like with the puffy pirate shirts, you have a camera on me? I didn't even do my hair. Do you know how many powder for me over there? Anyways,
don't worry, it's not recorded. Actually, it's just
I'm just teasing.
You miss it.
And then and then with the amazing hair, and like definitely John Gomeshi had like that early '80s like sort of John Taylor mullet.
Oh, sure, from Duran Duran.
With the blonde thing and the fedora, perfectly thing. And he was president of the school, and he was a legit rock star. I mean, you know, and he had that band Tall New Buildings that had hits on the radio, and were on TV and shit. Wow. And he was president of this school body, and then you know, I wasn't impressed with Jean Gomeshi, but at the same time, I've never really been that impressed, you know. So
it's hard to impress you.
I like no, not at all. I'm really impressed by like things that are delicious and thoughtful and kind of deep, you know, or like ridiculously shallow and funny.
So this is I don't know, man, because I record every month with Stu Stone and Cam Gordon, who are they're a bit younger than you, but they're from Thornlea, and they're always telling me about the musicians that came through or whatever. It's kind of mind-blowing. You got all these guys there at the same time.
I love it. You know, actually Noah mastered the last By Divine Right record. Okay. We were hanging out, and I was like, you know what's fucked is like I was born on the other side of the planet.
Where were you born?
I was born in Viña del Mar in Chile in 1969. I was born in the 60s.
When did you arrive in...
October 20th, 1974. Yeah, we're coming up on the 50th anniversary. But anyways, the thing is, I was standing there with Noah. And, you know, Noah and I think we love each other, and we don't really necessarily like each other, and we know each other. And the thing about it is that, fuck, we're just so similar, too. And all of us are similar. I'm like, you know what's so fucked up is like I can understand you guys all fitting in together, but I come from the other side of the fucking planet, and if you stand us all up next to each other, we all kind of look alike and talk alike, and you know what I mean. And it's really weird how it can be random, but it's also kind of just destiny. There's lots more people in Thornlea that.
Do you want to name? I know the younger than you, but the other Hayden is from there too. The guy who played Anakin Skywalker.
No. Hayden Christensen went to Thornley?
This is what I'm told, yeah.
Nah, you got your info. Where'd you get your information from?
Hey, this Beastie Boys.
So, I don't think, but he is Canadian. You know, I want to write Hayden
Listen,
Christensen
I know that's
got
to, listen, Cam Gordon's not going to mislead me, right? Like, if he tells me Hayden Christensen went to Thornley, shout out to Cam Gordon, co-host of Toast. And the name's Stu Stone. I'm sure you don't know Stu Stone, because I used to ask everybody, like, do you know who Stu Stone is? I kind of
ring these bells.
Well, Stu Stone was like, he was in Donnie Darko, and he was in Magic School Bus, and he did some cool stuff.
He's a local guy?
He's from Thornley.
Fucking ace. There you go. Like in like Bill Welichka and like
right.
Damon from Danko Jones and Change of Heart and the guy from Acid Test and
Steve Fall?
I don't remember.
Oh no, because he's from Nova Scotia.
And yeah, cool, right?
Okay, amazing. But you know, the connections go beyond, because I need to find out the origin story for By Divine Right. But like Brendan Canning and Noah Mintz, of course, were in a band together. That was Head.
Yeah, we toured with them.
And that extra H came from the band Rhymes with Orange. They gave up their H and they handed it over to the guys from Head.
No, they didn't.
So
you're like way too into it.
And Brendan Canning.
There was a band from the States called Head.
I know. I'm being funny.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Come on. In fact, and then
there's a Rhymes with Orange connection.
Okay, tell me.
I don't remember.
Oh, that's Toy Train, right? There was a bunch of stuff I liked. The Taking of David. That was Rhymes of Orange.
Maybe that's where our age difference shows up. How old are you, Mike?
48.
48. Oh, how I could party hard when I was 48.
So I was born the year you arrived in the Great White North.
Canada.
Okay, how does By Divine Right come to be? Like, give me the origin story before we get you up to current day. Do you remember?
Well, I just sort of like I got sick of the 80s and during the 80s and I just I wanted to make like a cool rock and roll psychedelic record so that I could smoke a doobie and listen to it on my Walkman. And it was a By Divine Right cassette that's sort of like partly Ruddles. No, not this one.
Before this?
Yeah, 10 years before this.
Okay.
And this is a good one though too.
Well, okay, I only loaded up a few and then I got a bunch of new stuff and then you brought a guitar too. But can we just... So... we hear a little bit of this.
You would have never played this song in 1997. This was on no lists.
Where? Okay, what album does this appear on?
This is the first song on All Hail Discordia. A great disappointment in its day.
And that was the Squirt Gun Records.
Yeah, and then it got picked up by Network.
Okay, so this is your first. This is your first.
Own it in perpetuity in the entire known universe or any other part of the universe yet to be discovered. Thank you for ripping me off.
Who was in the beginning? Who was in By Divine Right besides yourself?
My friend Rob Covens. It was me and Rob in total like Wayne and Garth tradition. We just we would switch drums and guitar back and forth. And we had that psychic. Ooh, that was a fun. I didn't know about that left pan there. And anyways, we used to switch back and forth in like 89, 90 around there. And I used to think like By Divine Right, I would have modeled it on Syd Barrett when I first started. So my ideal for the perfect By Divine Right show would have been we go on, we improvise for 25 minutes, noise and psychedelic freak out. Then we would play our 2-minute hit song, and then we would improvise for 30 minutes, and then good night. But it never really hit that, because by the time our band actually came together, we were all too incompetent to do anything. We sucked for years. This is why I would never call ourselves a 90s band, you know. And like, I'm glad that a lot of people like this record, All Hail Discordia, but the industry did not. The industry was disappointed with this. I mean, the number of people that were like, "Oh, it's too lo-fi. This could be a huge thing if it only was better." And people always mix it up so much too, which is pretty classic. How they put like 3 or 4 BDR myths together, and they're like, "I love you guys. All Hail Discordia, Still a Hard Ocean with Feist." It's like, okay, well, those are like 3 different eras.
Yeah, that's Bless This Mess, right?
No.
That's why you're here, man. And it does all bleed together.
It's cool. And most people that know, would probably. All Hail's a classic. You know, I was talking about my kid. He's like, I love All Hail. It's probably the most solid one. But he'll be like, but your best songs are here, here, and here. You know?
Okay, what's his favorite By Divine Right album?
He's got the crazy playlist. He never plays any bad shit. Never. And I'm really grateful to I'm a tough fan, right? I'm grateful to the people that follow my band through all the terrible mistakes I've made. And who seem to always find the cool, even in like my weakest records, seem to find the cool songs and seem to still be interested in the future ones. I don't know. The last time he was like, I don't know. He likes Eating the Ghost, you know, or he'll be like, oh, this is a good one. And it'll be like, Listen to My Angels from Sweet Confusion. One, send me up. Wah, 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 wah. Do you know that one? No. No, you don't.
Well, what if I told you that By Divine Right was Broken Social Scene before Broken Social Scene?
You'd get in line.
Take a number. Okay. Now, okay, so
and you know,
it's like a collective, right? I mean, I don't know how
probably not where you think when you think it was. You know, like I'd say, like in the early 2000s, there was a point when By Divine Right was 5, 6, 7 people. I wasn't interested in being the only singer, and we were passing instruments around a lot, and our shows would be crazy. Yeah. It's pre-internet. Most people who know the band never went to those shows, but we played like, you know, we did a lot of touring. Maybe even it's like the peak of our success. We played like 3-hour shows. The audience would be on stage with us. A lot of improvising, a lot of Casios, stuff that never necessarily made records. And yeah, I would say, anyways, yeah.
Well, commercially,
I mean, Broken Social Scenes, like we're talking about like, creative convergence that you can't. They're an incredible event, you know, a beautiful band. Kevin Drew's a genius, you know what I mean? And it has a genius in the truest sense, like possessed by an enlightened spirit that seemed to cut through the bullshit.
Okay, but Bless This Mess, because I'm going to play a jam that I think might be like the most, commercial song you guys ever recorded, possibly. This is all no. Okay. So, but tell me how does Brendan Canning and Leslie Feist join By Divine Right?
Well, not at the same time. They didn't even really like each other when they were in the band. Brendan was probably like, we don't need her. She can barely play. at first. I mean, obviously at the end they date at one point while we're in the band, and
Okay.
we all love each other dearly. And now, but at the first, it was Mark Goldstein, the drummer, who was like, we should get Leslie to play, because we'd made a record that needed extra little parts here and there. And Leslie and I were acquaintances at the time, but we became dear friends. Brendan was in Head.
Yeah.
And Head were huge rock stars, and we were huge losers. But then, I think this is a theme. You could bring this up with people that might know. We're just sort of like the losers that don't go away. But I think that's also because it's not a star trip, and it's a real art project, which means that there's always more curiosity. So Brendan was in this huge rock band when they could not give a shit about By Divine Right. We were annoying, if anything, because we wouldn't fuck off. And then, but by the time their run's ending and they put out that record that was pretty good, Aussie, they asked us to go on tour with them. And then it was pretty obvious at the end of 96 that we had tapped into something. We were starting to tap into something that was beyond whether we were popular or not, or were abs or whatever, whether we had abs or the right haircuts or the right shoes, which you've never really been like that.
Do you have abs under that sweater there?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Under the flabs of middle-aged man. I have some pretty solid abs. Anyways, and then so we did a tour with them, and they were playing great, that last version of Head. I thought it was great. It was really nice. We did a tour with them so we could finish the album All Hail Discordia. 10 shows. They were going to pay us $100 per show. And we went in their van, both bands. So we came home with $1,000, but we were so broke in Edmonton, we split $100 three ways, $33 each. So me and Cam immediately bought weed. I don't know, who knows what Goldstein did. Probably bought a long distance phone card.
Do you still smoke weed?
Nah, I can't really do it anymore.
Okay. Do you do any edibles or drink it?
What do you got?
Well, I want to just really quickly just say, if you do want to get weed, firstly, it's legal now. I don't know if that takes some of the fun out of it.
Well, my name is Contreras, so like more or less you can honestly, you break it down like the fucking week I stopped smoking weed to like the week it became legal. But after 30 years, like my body was like, do you want to die or do you want to smoke weed?
It's pretty safe drug if you're gonna indulge.
No, it's not. I think it's terrible. It hurts your lungs. It makes people apathetic, and makes people, and I think it's dangerous.
What about those who are dealing with like anxiety issues, etc.?
I think they should take their socks off and walk in nature a little bit more. Change your lifestyle. To go away from your screens, and maybe don't be around your toxic people as much. Obviously, listen, I love smoking weed, and if my lungs were made amazing, and I was one of those people that could smoke and sing perfectly, I probably would be high right now.
Well, here's look, on that note, a can of Cabana Cozy for you, because you're going to bring home some fresh craft beer from Great Lakes.
Oh, thanks so much. I really
thank you,
appreciate it.
Can of
I don't mean
Cabana.
to be so hilarious. I really am full of beans this morning. But no, I just at one point couldn't keep smoking weed anymore. But I do love eating a gummy here and there. I'm no David Lee Roth, but hey. Anyway, so we did that tour, and at the end of that tour, I guess Head was, doing its run. I think Noah's always been. I've always told him this. He's always been ahead of the curb. You know what I mean? Like
no pun intended.
No.
Ahead.
No, right. He was always been ahead of the curb. And in the sense that he at some point was like, there's no money to be done in this, and I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm going to become a mastering engineer. And he fucking kicks ass, right?
Yeah.
He's so fucking, he had kids first. He figured it all out first. And I've always told him that. It's like, if I want to know what I need to do, like, I just have to like think of like, what was Noah doing 7 years ago? So although I do master records, I don't think that's where I'm going to go. And so at the end of that tour, we were making our record. The BDR made the record, and it was pretty obvious it was going to go well, and that it didn't matter whether it was lo-fi or whether we had the right shoes or whether we were going to get stickers and drop them off at the skateboard shop or whatever that people were saying.
The best stickers for By Divine Right. Yeah. Thank you, Stickeru.com.
Promo this on my ass.
Here, we're just going to give that to you. Toronto Mike stickers.
This is going on my stuff. Thanks. I'm so glad that you got good sponsors. It's great. I love it. Nice work, Mike.
Do you plan to die anytime? Hopefully not soon, but at some point you
I'm planning on dying.
Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home.
Yo, Ridley
Funeral Home. Good people there.
So anyways, they put the fun in funeral. Anyway, so and so then at the end of that tour, later that year when shit was starting to get real with the BDR, And Brendan had, for the last couple of years, like Brendan went from like an acquaintance and most disinterest to the BDR to being like, you guys have fun, really fucking good songs. And at one point he came up when he was playing in Len, and he was like, I'd fucking play in your band. And so then when shit started taking off for real and we really needed to solidify our lineup, I called him up and I was like, hey man, do you want to do this? And he said like, yeah. And then like, that's how he joined. And then a year later, he was like, I really need to, he really wanted to be a DJ. He's like, I'm done with rock and roll. I want to be a DJ. And he was working a job. He wasn't making chicken wings, but and so he quit. But then he bumped into Gord Downey, who looked at him in the eye and was like, I wouldn't quit the band if I was you.
That's a true story. That Gord Downey said that to Brendan Canning.
Oh yeah, I mean,
wow.
But it was a serious hint. And we'd gone through a couple bass players at the time, and so then he knew what that meant, because Gord was a fan, and everyone knew that Gord was a fan.
Right.
Him and I had become friends a little bit, and so sure enough, when we got the call to open up a series of secret hip shows in '98, Brandon was like ready to jump in there.
Wow. Yeah. Well, this is the song I alluded to earlier. If I were gonna say, hey, this is your hit, okay, and we'll talk about like who's playing By Divine Right on the radio and all that jazz here, but this is the one, right?
And it starts with a bass solo. Not a lot of songs start with a bass solo, and that's props to Brendan Canning. This is the radio edit, so it doesn't have that. But you notice here, go back to the top.
All right.
Go back to the top here, and you'll hear like not a lot of songs start with a bass solo.
All right, from the top. This is
Come for a
Ride.
Hear that? That's the other part of the edit. Anyways, yeah.
This jam got some...
it was ridiculous. The success was amazing for this song. It was like it beat Sum 41 for the most added song in Canada. And it was a total like turntable hit. Like Network didn't really move any units. But this thing was played everywhere. It's ridiculous. I'd drive down the street anytime and just like go like, and then this is before classic rock, so the Q was playing it, and like 97.7.
Right, when they were playing new rock, right?
Everything was playing it, right?
Right.
And this is before new rock.
Hits was playing it too.
Yeah, and
shout out to St. Catharines.
I'd go to like a grocery store, and like a little old lady would come up and be like, I never hear melodies like this anymore. But it didn't really sell. But who cares? It was cool. And there's only one reason why this was a hit. Because the way the Canadian music industry works.
Tell me.
It's a tragically hit. It's because Gord liked my band, took us on tour. Therefore, at that, like 5 minutes before this was added to the radio, our label was like, there's no single. You guys failed.
Strange.
Oh, man. How you think that's strange?
Well,
aren't you into music?
To it, right? Listen.
Don't you read books?
Jose,
that's not strange. Our label literally was like an emergency meeting with everyone. There's no hits. There's nothing happening.
And this is for Bless This Mess.
Yes, you failed, right? And then like we get the hip tour, and then this became the most added song. And there was another song on this record that was like such an obvious second single that was getting played by modern rock radio, that is still getting played by modern rock radio. That Network they kept like stopping it. The Sith Lord over at Network, whatever his name is, he'll sue me, man. I'm gonna die if I mention his name, because he is a Sith Lord. But anyways, he stopped the release of the second single that modern radio still plays.
What's that song called?
Dude, eat a balanced meal.
So who's playing it?
It's $5.
Who's playing it?
$5. It's crazy because like when last time we had a record come out, there was a few songs in 2013. There was a couple songs that really had like were cool, and I think like these should be being played on the radio. And I wrote 102, whatever they're called, not 102.
102.1 The Edge or Indie 88.
Indie 88. And I was like, listen, you guys play $5, and so does like in Vancouver and Ottawa and whatever. And I was told it wasn't a single at the time, but stations started playing it anyways. I think you should be fucking some visionaries and fucking play this song. Hey, you're fucking doing a remix over here. Anyways, Anyways, and of course they didn't play our singles from Organized Accents, but this gets played. I can tell you a funny story about this song. Like,
Let's hear it.
oh, there's Leslie sings a little bit on this record. That's her there.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, 'cause it got so much soul. Oh, honey, got so much soul. So much soul, we're gonna lose control.
Nice bass slide, champ.
Kiss a girl named rock and roll.
Sounds great in the cans, man.
Well, I mean, you know, you're like 25 years
Can't
late.
pay my rent,
I was there,
Listen
man.
to this.
Okay.
and all the money.
Anyways, it's good. I like that verse. I can't pay my rent and all the money spent. That's cool, man.
When I don't
Oh, no.
Did you write that?
Wrote itself.
You wrote everything, right? You are by divine right.
I'm just one man. One humble man.
You're sort of like you are to by divine right as Manfred is to Elephants and Stars. Like, this is just...
I've heard that Elephants and Stars are two really great bands. Anyways, the funny thing is, right, like, so I wrote a letter to Indie 88 saying, like, once you play, like, Past the Stars or More Thorns, a couple songs you should maybe check out on 2013's Organized Accents. And I never heard back from them, of course. But anyways, here's the crazy story. So I moved to the country, like, 10 years ago.
Whereabouts?
Caledon, beautiful area.
Okay, that's just like north of Brampton,
In a
right?
forest, yeah.
There's 50... I know, yeah, I know.
It's a secret. Like, I could be in the hot tub in 40 minutes from downtown.
Don't tell anyone.
Why not?
Because the prices will sky... Oh, you're already there. So
It's already happened.
Right.
So then, oh, look at this. Glockenspiel, 98.
Got
That's right.
$5.
Oh, here comes the drum fill.
I got $5.
Oh, now you got a famous person singing. Yeah.
And that's enough.
Make fun of me.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, 'cause it got so much soul.
Yeah, this is... Okay, so this is
So,
the
okay,
natural
so I'm
follow-up to Come for a Ride.
No, it was never released as a single.
But why? Because of some
'Cause they're
Sith
from-
Lord?
Yeah.
You can't name this guy because you're
No.
afraid of a lawsuit
Do some
for calling him a
research.
Sith Lord?
Do some research.
The network guy.
Yeah. Anyways, and it was already added. It was already being played on stations. Anyway, so I'm living in the woods like 10 years ago, 10 years after this came out. And like my neighbor's kids and their friends come over to my studio and they're like, they don't have a clue who I am, by the way. They've never heard of By Divine Right. They could not give a fuck.
Right.
Right. And they're like, you wrote $5?
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, our band covers that song. And we play it at parties and people freak out. And that's just fucking funny. Because like I said,
That's wild.
it's funny. They don't know who I am.
Right.
They've never heard of By Divine Right.
Wow.
Or they you know what I mean? It's just weird. So like, anyways, yeah.
Cambrio, an FOTM who writes in, does Jose...
We don't play this song in live anymore. It's too...
No?
One
Does Jose remember working with... Of course you do, but I'm going to ask this question. Working with Melogrove Band.
Of course I do.
I know. Because first of all, members of your band end up in Melogrove. I mean...
No, vice versa.
Vice versa. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite memory of the Melogrove Band?
Oh, man, I love those guys so much and working on that record. Well, I did 3 records with them. And it was just a magical time. You know, they were the first...
And we're talking Darcy and Michael, right? This is your...
And most importantly, Jay Nunes, the
Right.
singer and main singer and songwriter.
Right.
Although Darcy's a songwriter too, wonderful singer and songwriter. The two of them, it's really Darcy and Jay. Mike being just the ultimate bass player, sort of like, like doesn't say too much, gets the perfect sound. You know, Mike toured with us. He'd take like 20 minutes to get his bass sound. Eventually, okay, shut up. He'd be like boom, 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 bam, boom, bam, bam, boom, 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 boom. Like just, he's a sound fetishist, you know, until he gets the sound perfect. I love fucking Mike Small, or as I like to call him, Tiny Load. Anyways, Michael Anthony Lloyd Small.
Michael
No.
Anthony. There you
Yeah,
go.
his name's Michael
That comes because you mentioned
Michael Lloyd.
David Lee Roth.
Michael
earlier
Lloyd
today.
Anthony Small, I think so. It went from then to Tony Lloyd to Tiny Load. But anyways, no, I loved working with the Melogrove Band. We did their first record in my dad's living room. He was on vacation, and I was like, "Hey, we got a piano there," and they wanted to do a piano, so we set up. My dad doesn't know, by the way. We took pictures of the house, moved all the furniture, set up, had the piano tuned, and then made the record in his living room. and then and that's it coincides with that what I was talking before, where I was suddenly had like a 70s like Genesis style debt.
How did that come to be? Is that because the game is rigged? And
I have a non-disclosure agreement. I can't really discuss it. But, sort of like it was the end of a certain situation and all of a sudden I inherited a lot of debt. And not even my bandmates know the details, but at the time. But it coincided perfectly with all these people asking me to produce their records. And one of the very first ones I did was the Mellow Grove Band, and it was just a ridiculous success. Like they signed a huge deal. I think it was like $5.
$5
with V2 in the UK, and the record was magic. We recorded it in my dad's living room. It was magic. Oh, now when you're saying your most commercial song, this is my most commercial song.
Right.
And this I hate this. If I could scrape this off the side of my colon, I would.
Really?
Song sucks. See, you need to do your homework, man. Seriously.
Well, that's what you're here for.
My 16-year-old will never put this song on for me, but he'll play like a ton of cool shit. I want pussy. I want jizz. You know what? This song used to be a joke song, and used to have a long intro, right? I used to talk about it in the intro. This song was 7 minutes long, and it was like this story. And the intro was like where I dedicated to Paula Abdul, who hadn't come back yet, right?
No American Idol yet.
No. And I used to like be like, Paula, we miss you, and we believe this could be your comeback hit. And then we break into the song, and then it had this huge long middle part where like we recorded actual gangsters in London, Ontario, like scary people talking about killing people. And
can I call you out on something?
Yeah,
because that's what we do in this show. But okay, it sounds like you hate this song.
I hate this song.
Okay,
I'm embarrassed.
So
of this
why
song.
does the official By Divine Right website literally highlight this song as the song embedded to play on the website?
I have no idea, Mike. Could you?
Good Morning Beautiful.
Could you please help me redesign my website? I've hired people. I've actually hired people, and they disappear. Here's the deal: I could administer my career full time every day, seriously, until I have no career left, right? Or I could make music, right? And
making art.
And even when I make a video, and I've made a few cool ones that you should check out recently. But like even after like those 30-40 hours, I'm like, fuck, I could be making music doing this. So here's what happened with this song. It was like the 7-minute weird thing. There's cool elements to it. Don't get me wrong, right? But when first I was going through a hard time in my life, it was like 5 minutes before anyone in Toronto became famous, right? And is that your vape or my vape?
It's Flashlight from Ridley Funeral Home, buddy.
Oh fuck! I thought I was getting a free vape. Anyways, sweet Flashlight. So anyways, it was like 10 minutes before. Can you turn this down? This is making my nipples hard. Anyways, like 10 minutes before, I'd say 5 minutes before everyone got famous in Toronto, right? It was a very confusing time. Like even like everyone was just so excited about. Like I would tell people, yeah, I'm making my record in London, and friends would be like, thought I meant England.
Right.
I was like, man, I'm taking the fucking Greyhound to London, Ontario, and I'm making my friend's living room. So, during that period, I was dating maybe like, I don't know, I the world had a lot more pain in it than I thought I did. And I somehow got convinced first, my label and the producer, yeah, you should take the intro out. We should take the middle bridge out. And then the outro was also like 2 or 3 minutes. We should fade out. And so then all of a sudden it turned into this MILF rock nugget. And I didn't, it's my fault. I wasn't paying attention. And it got mixed. And then all of a sudden I find myself in New York City in this video, making a video for this song that's so fucking lame. And I realized it was too late. And it made a lot of money. Like it's on, and like it got placed a lot, and it's on.
I could hear that getting licensed for.
It was in
ads or something.
Smallville. It was every week in. It was one of the songs every week on fashion television. Like
shout out to Jeannie
was
Becker.
So fucking embarrassing, and it just would not fucking go away. And within a few months of the record, because we're always been pretty cooperative people. So, but after a few months of. When that record came out, we were touring it. I was like, I can never play this song ever again. And sure enough, like when we would like say, play with the Truth, it'd be like, hey man, we love you guys, especially that song Supernatural. Right.
Oh, it almost sounds a little bit like when you hear the origin story for like Blur's song 2, right? Where like they were making they were kind of making fun of this style, like they were gonna create like a manufacturer.
But
like
song 2 is really good though.
Well, some people think Supernatural is really good. Ask the
Well,
guys from the Trues.
I feel sorry for them, and they got it wrong. I remember like the guy from Big Wreck going like, "Man, hear your
Ian
song,
Thornley.
hear your song, man." It's like I'm like jealous. We should be better, like. And it's like, no, I'm sorry. I think it's a tacky song, and it wasn't. It was supposed to be tacky, but it lost its context. Like the intro was hilarious, and here's the funny thing is like, I think, and it could be me. I just lost cred with myself when this song came out. And before, when it was a bit of a jokey song and I would play acoustic and strip down before the record came out, before we recorded it, people would love it. They'd come up and be like cool people who you would consider cool and I would consider cool.
Right.
Not just like Manfred or Cam, but like honestly, they'd be like, I fucking love that Paul Abdul song because it was a setup for Paul Abdul. It worked, but as soon as that got removed, it's just like shitty. I hate it. I'm embarrassed.
It kind of reminds me a little of Hawksley Workman's Striptease, where I don't think he's a big fan of Striptease actually, because it's sort of that commercial single style or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Ryan's great, but I think that worked out better for Ryan than
so is
Supernatural
Hawksley's a Ryan?
Yeah.
See, I don't think I ever knew Hawk's like secret identity or whatever. That sounds. Yeah, you gotta be a Hawksley, not a Ryan. Like you have enough Ryan.
You need to be a Hayden, not a Paul.
So it's Paul Desser, right? That actually I did know that.
I used to do a lot of karaoke at one point. Yeah. When I did karaoke as Jose, right? People would be like, "Yeah, that's really good, right?"
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'd use an Anglo name,
like Joe.
No, I like Calvin.
Okay.
People would lose their shit. Racism is real, man.
That
people
sucks.
would lose their shit. People would be chanting my name.
That's shitty. That's shitty to hear that. One quick fun fact is that we just heard a question
changed my
from
name. And now from Bidevine Right, the limo's here, Calvin.
Is it true? And I know it's true, but tell me, like, you did a tour of China.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Because not a lot of Canadian bands were doing a concert tour of China back in the early 2000s.
It was an unforgettable, fascinating, and fun and traumatic fucking shit show. And I was doing this podcast interview out west, like last time I was there in 2013, last time we were touring out there. And this guy a friend of mine wanted to do a podcast. It's out there he wanted to go track by track with the new BDR record at the time, Organized Accidents. Really good record. Anyways, and he asked me a little bit about China, and then he realized that I had a lot of stories. I was like, "Do you really want to hear this shit? Because I could talk for hours." And he said, "Yeah." And then I talked for hours in great detail.
Do I get the highlights?
Oh man, it was
the greatest hits. Do you have a greatest hit? Is there a By Divine Right greatest hits compilation?
Isn't that so great that there isn't?
Greatest
you mean
misses?
Like no sides lose? Anyways, there's this amazing story that we laugh at. So many stories we laugh about. Like, like it was the foggy season in China. So like we were like everywhere they want to just get us hammered and feed us like like applause lines, like we're like the Ringo Stars, like an applause line going into a restaurant, like where the staff is like applauding while you walk up the aisle. And then they get us loaded and we're on a tour bus and it's fog season. So you can't see like 2 meters ahead of the van. So they can't get, in the bus. So they couldn't get us to our next gig. So they took us to the train station. And at this point, we're all hungover and it's 4 a.m. and we're loading our gear. Literally, we're poor musicians. So it's like we have 32 pieces. Most of it are like shopping bags and shit. Or like there were some cases, flight cases. Right. We're loading it into a car with chickens.
Okay.
And then when we get to our destination, whatever, there's just people everywhere. There's like you're sound checking and you're like, what the fuck? And there's like someone turning the knobs on your amp for fun. There's like, why are all these people on stage? It's like, oh, it's like the families of the people that they're friends, people we don't even know who they are. Like, could you I would like bark at people because they're really friendly and no one's very aggressive. So I'm finally just going like, go away, stop touching my amp, get off the stage. We're sound checking.
Wow.
I could go on. It was unbelievable.
Well, listen, here because I want to get to the new material, and I have new music from you. That's right, kids, new music. But before I get there, I'll just
Coming
shout
out
out
tomorrow. Isn't that cool?
Is that tomorrow? Okay, that's great timing. Okay, so that's September 23rd, 2022. The 2010 album Muted Message was longlisted for the Polaris Music Prize, and it was nominated for a Juno.
Yeah.
So that's like a bridge, okay? Because I'm going to actually.
I love that though because like, you know. Oh yeah. Sorry, I was like,
you were trying. What is Mike playing here? Okay,
No,
I thought
like,
I'd get us to
what song is
2022.
Recorded in the garage. It's like this is a long song. There's like 10 verses on this song. I love the compression you have on it. It's like radio. Estás escuchando la radio con Mike Toronto.
Well, that's the plan, Stan. Gotta sound big here. Okay.
Anyways,
Automoto. Automoto.
We played this show in Montreal not that long ago, and there were all these kids partying there, and by the end of the set, they were just chanting Automoto. It was really hilarious to tell them to shut up at one point. We're like, because we play our last batch of shows, we just played our new record front to back because we don't know anything else. We're like,
and it's a double album, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of in a sort of like 90s reissue kind of way.
And it's out tomorrow. Okay, so I just want to get like some
Zero
facts in
MILF
here.
rock content. There might be a little MILF rock.
And this is the first single from Automoto.
You know, and again, like,
St. Leon's.
This isn't, BDR's not a marketing plan. It was like, we found a wonderful label in Fortune Stellar, a really cool garage rock label. And
that's a cool name because it's like Fortune Teller, but actually the name is Fortune Stellar.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's Shiloh Harrison, Andrew DeVilliers' label. She is the singer and songwriter for Hot Kid, and he is the singer and songwriter for Mad Ones. And together they're hot and heavy, and then have a really cute kid, and this amazing label. So they come along, and they're like, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? We're gonna just soft drop this 6-minute boring song that has no MILF content.
Ironically, though, maybe not for the minivan crowd, but this song is like literally about a van, right?
It's just about an adventure the three of us had. The van's in there. It's Rhoda's last stand.
And this is in Calgary, right?
It happened in Vancouver, but at the end, and not in Vancouver, in BC, we all went to this sort of famous hot tub where the hippies go, had a magical time, and then we drove to Calgary, fell apart, played a show, that kind of thing. And then the van died the next day. But anyway, so we released this, and they were cool with it. They weren't like, this isn't the single. They were like, like none of the videos we put out for this record, which you should check out. Some of them are pretty cool. Well, there's only 3.
Where will you find these? On the By Divine Right YouTube channel?
Jeez, I don't know that there is a By Divine Right YouTube channel.
Google it, people. You'll find it.
You're going to find it, yeah. Anyways, it's out there. It's on the Fortune Stellar website.
Stellar Records.
Yeah. So Lish had driven up north with her partner, Nico, and they had filmed a bunch of stuff. I was like, this footage you filmed is so cute. Just like Nico driving with her dog and shit. I was like, I'll put it to this song, which, as you can tell, just goes on and on. This is like verse 6. And
it's like Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. There's 402 verses to this sucker.
And this, finally we get to Calgary, and Lish sprains her ankle and we fall apart. And so, anyways, that's why it came out. It wasn't like the new Stars single or something that's been like planned out, right. not that they're not a wonderful band, but you know what I mean, like
you aren't over
I love the song. And then the next single, the reason it came out was because a good friend of mine, that wonderful artist John Clater, he put this clip of a ghost walking down the street on his Instagram, and I was like, that fucking looks cool that would look cool with our song number 87. And so then I contacted him and I said, listen, I've got money, and if I don't spend it in the next like 5 minutes, I'm gonna need a new roof or something. I don't know if you know what it's like.
Yeah, I do.
Every like, should I buy a guitar? No, I need to fix something that no one will ever enjoy. So then he made a video for number 87, and it was so beautiful. So that's why that's the second single, and I say that in quotation air marks because it's not really a single. And then the next one,
this is not for radio. Radio's not playing this song.
No, some radio stations.
Who's playing it in Toronto? Is anyone playing it in Toronto? Like, does Indie 88 play it?
There's starfuckers in Toronto. It's a popularity contest.
Well, it's Toronto Mike. That's why I focus on Toronto. But where would By Divine? And I need to find out, by the way.
College radio. Some college radios play it in. Some people.
Like CIUT?
I doubt it. This is it's not a thrash metal. Anyways,
Ryerson. Okay, they don't call it that anymore.
No, it got added to playlists, and maybe this one got added to Radio 3 too. And then the next one, number 87, got added to Radio 3.
Well, I think there's room now because they don't play Arcade Fire anymore.
Ooh, low blow.
No, but fact. I mean,
when are they gonna cancel fucking John Lennon? Like seriously. But I dare say it. Anyways, it's too much money riding on that one. There's way too many.
Well, John, I mean, the allegations are he abused his wife, right, Cynthia? Or am I missing something else?
I mean, whatever. I'm not alligating. I'm just saying, it's true.
I know. So, are you of the? I mean, because you are part of this Toronto scene that did result in. I mean, I know they're Montreal band, but this Canadian scene, this indie rock scene that resulted. We talked about Broken Social Scene, but also Arcade Fire, and Feist, who we just talked about being in By Divine Right, was opening for Arcade Fire in Europe, and then she dropped out of the tour.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that whole situation?
I know. I'm sure you know people that know, and people that know people who know, and I guess it's a bit of a shit show. I don't know if you notice that they're not saying anything online. They just have to finish it. I can just imagine right now all the fucking cease and desist lawyers letters that are being sent around, and all the out of court settlements being made, and I think the band themselves are probably in heavy duty denial of trying to not admit that this could be the end of the run, and it's just a fucking nightmare. And also I saw someone quote something somewhere, and fame is a really weird thing, and I can only imagine what it must be like for someone who's actually famous. And I'm talking about the SoCan checks, as well as what you can get away with. At some point, it became okay to grab my ass in public, and I guess that's legal. Or people cross their lines all the time, and definitely given me leeway to cross any line I wanted to, in a really weird sort of way. So I can only imagine for someone who's actually famous, but. And the quote being even all through all that, I've never sent anyone a picture of my dick, So maybe I haven't lived.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a
tough one.
Tough one there. Okay.
And it's disappointing. It's heartbreaking. We found out at the same time. I think honestly, one of the things that we're all feeling is that the 20th century is over. And we're all hanging on to it as much as we can. We can all get a Marilyn Monroe T-shirt, or get another reissue of a wonderful album from the 20th century. But my partner and I, the beautiful and charming Amy Nickel, we're just realizing that Page and Panel closed at the Toronto Reference Library, and Curry's Music Supplies closing down on Queen Street across from the Drake. And all of a sudden, Arcade Fire is going to get canceled. And it's wow, so this is now the end of that cute era. Do you remember how cute graphic design was in the early 2000s? It's the best posters, all this adorable shit, right?
Well, I was going to ask you if you've read the book Hearts on Fire. I don't think that's the name of it, but Michael Barclay wrote a book on the Canadian.
Yeah. No, I haven't read that one.
Okay, so the thing
I
about
heard
that.
About it. He's a lovely guy.
So
I'm probably in there.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm on the footnote.
You're in there. You're in there. He was here when the book came out, and we were talking about it and playing songs from that era. And it really, literally, that book closes with a chapter about Arcade Fire, the biggest commercial darling out of that entire Canadian rock, indie rock boom in the early 2000s, and I was, so when he heard these allegations against Win Butler, I know on Twitter I saw a tweet from him where he was personally just, devastated and disappointed.
Yeah, because these are like sort of like the early 2000s were so fucking cute, right? In Canada or in the world, and to me it's related to the page and panel. I don't know if you know what I mean by page and panel.
Well, explain for everybody.
Oh, it's that wonderful graphic novel and art and bookstore that was in the ground floor of the Toronto Reference Library.
Okay.
That was a great place to buy books, buy novels, buy cute stuffies and pens and notebooks and stuff. And it just seems to have been a child of that early 2000s era of like optimism, beauty, culture clash, freedom, sort of like post-gender, whatever you want to, like, like a really hopeful moment. And, and I think Arcade Fire was part of that. And to me and Amy, there was a poignancy to seeing Page and finding out, holy fuck, Page and Panel closed at the end of July. And the same moment finding out that Win Ding Dong was fucking sending, who's kind of an imposing 7-foot monster, like sending pictures of his wiener to fucking 19-year-olds. It's just kind of like, oh fuck, man, does anything last?
Right.
Does anything fucking last? And then, and it's just like the end of the 20th century. We're all dealing with it. Guess what? Fucking, you know what? If Mad Max is the #1 movie, that's what you're gonna fucking get.
Right. Right.
Right now the world wants to be fucking Mad Max.
Automoto releases out tomorrow, double album, and you mentioned you were on the road. Any upcoming dates for By Divine Right?
Yeah, lots of them. The next gig, the next run that we're doing, we're really excited about. It's been, right now, Andrew and Shiloh are kind of managing our band. When they're not, Andrew's about to go on tour with Mad Ones in Europe tomorrow or Saturday, and they each of them have their bands and they're making records, releasing. They're doing a great job of managing our bands. I would go almost as far as saying they're the best label I've been on, because they actually are taking responsibility for stuff and really covering so many bases. And they've yet to say we're going to do something that they haven't done, and they really been supportive. And so they're kind of like helping us book stuff. We don't have an agent. We don't have management. We don't have any structure. It's been 15 years since I parted ways with real management. Well, and so the fact that we have this tour is a miracle, and it's either booked by fans, booked by ourselves, or booked by our label. And so the way I've called this tour at one point, I was like, no potato too small. Or like the poster, I don't know if you've seen it, says paying our dues in 2022, because we start in the Fog next Friday, the Fog in Windsor, the famous Fog. It's a spaceport. It's like basically, what was the name of the spaceport in Star Wars? It was like the filthiest scum of villainy or whatever, the height of,
the
Mos Eisley.
The cantina.
Yeah, Mos Eisley.
Right.
It's like, and then from there we go to play Maud's Convenience in You Got It, Sarnia. And then from there we play an afternoon show in London at a brewery. So it's like, and these are booked by dear fans and friends of the band.
Amazing.
And like I say, no potato too small. We're paying our dues in 2022. We're ready. We don't have. There's no Sith Lords on our side.
Okay, but you need to name check my mistake that I haven't, because I talked about how many people have come through By Divine Right and gone on to do other things, and all these. Brian from Holy Fuck, like all these guys come through
Brian
the band.
Borchard, from Dusted, and from Brian Borchard fan. His Brian Borchard records are absolutely beautiful, and Dusted as well. We used to laugh because Holy Fuck was his side project, and I actually recorded the first Holy Fuck stuff. And then we all applied to CMJ. We all had the same manager. And of course, like, By Divine Right didn't get into CMJ. Brian Borchard didn't get into CMJ. But Holy Fuck did, which was like his total, like
side project.
Like, like he wasn't even planning on recording it. I had a day in the studio and I was like, listen, man, I have a day in the studio. I'd love to record you. Just buy me a chunk of hash and we'll go and we'll record it. And that never got released, but that got him into C&J, and then that's how he met Beans, and then all of a sudden,
right.
it took off. But I love Brian so much, and his last record, the last Dusted record, is super beautiful. All his records are beautiful. I produced a really beautiful Brian Borchard record too. Forget what it's called. It's got a smoking bird on the cover. It's a genius record. And anyways, so we're
I
playing.
need you to name check the current By Divine Right lineup.
The current By Divine Right lineup is made up of sort of like celebrities in their own right. Jordy Dines from Oshawa, Ajax, that whole east side part of town. He used to be the drummer in the Markham side, and he plays in lots of bands, and he's just he's a man so tall that when he stands up, his ears pop. That's and then
That's a good line.
Thank you. I am a dad after all. And then on bass is Alicia Haugen Lish, who
Right.
is used to be the lead guitar player in Sheezer, and used to be our nanny.
Wow.
So at one point when she started coming over to jam, my kids would be like, "Yay, Lish!" I'm like, "She's here to babysit me now." and like this is the longest BDR lineup we've ever had.
Yeah.
I learned my lessons
since 2010, right?
Yeah, I'm
Wow.
learning my lessons. Like instead of like you piss me off, that's it. Next, I'm like, we build something. There's something. I've had a lot of cool lineups in the band, and there's something that happened when the three of us played that I didn't count on, and maybe I discounted in the past, which is just like chemistry. And our first show together was we were opening for our good friends Winter Sleep.
Yeah.
In that, Lowell played in the BDR, and we did a bunch of tours with them back in the day, and they all came up and they were like, "That's the best By Divine Right lineup that we've seen." And there was just like a chemistry where it's like, I've always loved the term a champion team will beat a team of champions. And we are a humble little fuzzy trio. And when we're on, we're fucking seriously, Mike.
Yeah.
You could get us to back up. I'll say it right now. Get us to back up any band, any artist in the world, and they're going to turn and be like, "Fucking love you guys." Because when we play, we're closer to the spirit of rock and roll than I don't know how it happened, but we are. We know our shit.
Beautiful.
Like when Charlie Watts died.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, fuck, at least I still got Jordy. Jordy's not ever going to end up in a beer commercial playing drums, but he's fucking, if he doesn't feel it, he just won't fucking play. Seriously. He's not like
But that could be rather inconvenient.
it can be very inconvenient, but it's incredibly inconvenient. But he's got a real feel. He's pure groove. That's what he does. He's a skiffle drummer. He's not a hot rock drummer. He'll never play in Thornley. But I fucking love playing with him. When I play with Jordy, we're fucking cool. That's what's so great. And when I play with Lish, she's got a beautiful voice, and she's younger, and so she brings that sort of like I don't know, Sonic Youth vibe to what we're doing, sort of more angular and anyways, we're jamming later today. It's gonna be the best.
Amazing. Now, on that note, so you did bring a guitar, and there's no pressure for me. It depends on how you're feeling right now. Did you want to play something for us live here?
I love singing songs, but I mean, I was gonna ask you what you wanted me to play, but you may not know the new record well enough to request a song. So
Fuzzy Empire. Well, what do you want to play?
I don't know. I can play Fuzzy Empire, but I mean,
Well, play something from Automoto, and if you don't mind, and
I'd love to, and
give you a moment to get your stuff.
Like it's a double album in the sense that it's an hour long, kind of like when you reissue a Stereolab record. It's not going to fit on one record. It's not quite
like London Calling.
But London Calling is actually 7 minutes.
Yeah,
this
right,
isn't 70 minutes long.
Okay.
This is 60.
Okay. So I'll just talk to the good people here because I refuse to edit anything. So Jose is going to get his guitar, and then I'll even open up this mic here. So I'm going to open up that mic.
Seriously, what kind of song do you want me to play?
Honest to God, I want you to play what you're feeling right now. Like I want to hear something from the new album. Actually, you know what? I won't even like pigeonhole you like that. By the way, did you know the word mimico is an indigenous word for pigeon? Oh, I love that. That's a fun fact.
This part of town's so cool. When I was pulling in, I'm like, man, you got to figure it out. I love it out here.
It's cooler by the lake, as you know,
Not
but
only
you're
that,
up in Caledon.
This hood still has lots of really interesting shit that the rest of Toronto has died in. I don't know why this hasn't been as
Gentrified.
as sodomized as the rest of town.
Yeah.
But not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
But on sort of. Do you have a tuner?
No. I do not. In fact, even just last week, Ron Hawkins was looking for one, and luckily Stephen Stanley had one, but I do not have one.
And so I love it down here, and I was just even looking at that cool camping supply store.
Yeah,
just up down the
TNT.
street.
It's been there forever, man.
Forever. There's still a byway here.
A rogue byway, yes.
Kind of a standard. Get some vids in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna record this.
I'll play the first song. Gadgeteers exploits, the experts ingenuity, profit from my mistakes, profit from my mistakes, a ghostly view of a live concert, profit from my mistakes, profit from my mistakes. Switching ordinary equipment to special tasks. Oh, the gadgeteers exploits. Oh, the experts' ingenuity. Profit from my mistakes. 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 The polite way to make people vanish. Way to make people vanish. Transmitter, transmitter. Receiver, receiver. The polite way to make people vanish. The quitter, the quitter. Believer, believer. It's the polite way to make people vanish. I swore I saw you there, floating in midair. It's the polite way to make people vanish. So, come on, angel, you got professional problems. Profit from my mistake. Profit from my mistakes. 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 Profit from my mistakes.
Amazing. Where's my applause here? Holy smokes. Honestly, Jose, that's incredible, buddy. Thanks so much for doing that. That's,
Cheers.
I mean,
That's
amazing.
the first song on the new BDR record.
Oh my God. Okay. So
Problems of the professional.
If somebody wants to hear the new By Divine Right record, Auto Motto, where the heck would you like them to go?
I'm so sorry we're so disorganized. You know, people tell me all the time, it's like, I get these kind of letters. I love you, and I look for your shows, and I can't find them. Unfortunately, I keep it nice. Our house is nice, and my kids are good, and I feed my cat, and I write new music, and I'm mixing records for our artists and
Right.
stuff like that. So our website sucks. Instagram would probably be pretty good to find it. I think that the best place, it will eventually be out on Spotify and all that shit tomorrow.
Right, tomorrow.
And probably YouTube and whatever else, whatever fascist regime we're following. But the Fortune Stellar website, Fortune Stellar Records, I don't know if
That's your
what it's
best
called.
bet. Look, they got it going on
The
over
artists, yeah, they really do, and that's where you find our. We have 3 videos out for the record, so far, and they're all really cool. And we've gotten really nice letters from people, and considering we don't really have any part of the algorithm, it's still been really positive response. And am I getting the yank here?
Well, I can unyank, of course. I can unyank.
No.
But this is, I did warn you I'd play a song from Shakespeare My Butt at the end of the episode.
Sorry. Oh, I'm so glad. Oh man, these are wonderful times, right? Like, I don't know how old you were at the time, whether you were there. Like, I just remember, when this was we actually played a couple shows with Los Solo at the times, and we were just like the most unpalatable band possible. And they were just like all these beautiful long hairs in their plaid and their rolled up jeans, and people just were swooning. It was wonderful. We played Heart House Farms with them in like 91, 92. And one time I played drums in a band that opened for them, and I shot blood all over.
Oh, what happened?
I was playing drums, and I shot blood all over the drum set.
Oh, God.
But now we're friendly, of course, with all these guys, because we played a show with them not that long ago at Sandbanks.
Amazing. The provincial park?
Yeah, it was great.
Amazing.
Yeah, with the inbreds too.
Yeah.
That's the first time that we performed Automato. I was like, we're not playing a single old song that gig. I was like, unless we play all new songs, I'll cancel. And we played all new. It kind of kickstarted this record.
Well, dude, it's so great to meet you, man.
Me too, man. Sorry I'm so obnoxious.
Don't,
I had a
dude, you were
really
great.
great night, seriously, and an awesome morning. So
You were awesome. Like, I like it when a guest comes in ready to go. Sometimes you get a sleepy guest and you're like, what the fuck?
that's usually me. I don't know what the fuck happened.
You were great. And we learned so much about By Divine Right. We learned so much about you. We learned about Auto Motto, which people can, get tomorrow. And we heard you play live. We're going to take a photo outside. I do have a lasagna for you. I really am giving you these fresh cans of
It looks so good.
Great
It's
Lakes
disorienting.
beer.
Normally when there's like 4 beers in front of me and I'm all thirsty and shit, I'm like, I don't know, dude. But I do have to do stuff.
And that brings us to the end of our 1,000.
Thanks for having me, by the way. I love it. 1117.
1117. So
That's fucking cool.
1117th show.
That's 10, eh? That's 1. We're all 1. That's the magic number of your show. This is 1. We are 1.
You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Toronto Mike. Now, Jose, you yourself are not on Twitter, but I do know By Divine Right is on Twitter. I tagged him and
that's
they
one of us.
retweeted. So somebody is manning that account. Okay. Or personing that account. Our friends at Great Lakes Brewery are at Great Lakes Beer.
Thank you for beer.
Palma Pasta's at Palma Pasta. I got a
you for
vegetarian for you.
Lasagna.
Sticker U is at Sticker U.
Yeah.
Electronic Products Recycling Association or at EPRA.
Probably about the
Canada.
most important thing that you're advertising.
Product, there's a safe way to recycle your old tech.
Manufacturing has to stop or the planet's going to end. We need to recycle. Reuse. Rebuild.
Love it. Shout out to Diane Sachs. Ridley Funeral Home are at Ridley FH. And Canna Cabana are at Canna Cabana _ I want to check out who my next guest is before I close this off. Hold on, I'm going to my calendar. I should know this off the top of my head, right? Oh, my next guest, Andrew Stoughton. He, of course, covers the Blue Jays, and we're going to find out why he's no longer at the Athletics. So join me for that episode Monday.
Because everything is coming up rosy and green. Yeah, the wind is cold, but the smell of snow warms me today. And your smile is fine, and it's just like mine, and it won't go sun go down on Shakla Crew.